time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielson and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
So, how is everybody? It's the Oil Stream coming at you live from the Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen studio here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Why don't you cheer yourself up today with a ghost pepper chicken sandwich? Unless it's too spicy for you, then just get a regular chicken sandwich. But you can get that done at Popeye's. Tommy, I must say I'm very jealous of your red and black flannel shirt today.
Thank you. You look great, though.
Thanks, man.
Very nice.
I was
like
also
that.
hoping for a compliment.
You pulled off this look today tremendously.
I have about, I have like this shirt and I've got like 3 other black flannel shirts.
Yeah.
That I'm really going to wear a lot in the winter, you know?
As you should. They're very comfortable. They're very warm, as I've discovered.
As a truck guy now, too,
As
where you kind of have to wear flannel shirts. So that's my one thing.
I show up to our studios every day, and I'm like,
see my truck?
I look for the gold. Was it an Explorer?
Yeah, like
before?
a brown Explorer.
Yeah, and I don't see it, and I'm like, where the hell's Dusty? And I'm like, oh, look at that truck. Oh yeah, he's
See
a
that
truck
big
guy
ass
now.
truck just sitting there.
Look, as a truck guy wearing flannel and plaid, although it's very comfortable.
It is comfortable. Flannel
and
is
it
really
looks good.
comfortable.
It looked like if you dress it a certain way, it looks good. But if you're just like, I'm just gonna wear flannel and torn
Yeah, like
up
I
jeans,
don't have my hat on today. You know,
you look good.
Spice it up a bit with flannel.
You look good, pal.
I can see why lumberjacks would wear this.
That's more
Like
of a
it's
practical
warm,
thing,
but it's
right?
also really easy to work in, right? It's like fancy sweatpants, kind of.
Yeah.
Right?
Lululemon,
Hey, the exact same
which
thing.
is great stuff.
The exact same thing.
Yeah.
All right, so if you want to chime in on the Edmonton Oilers right now, feel free. If you have any questions, hit us up in the Nasty Chat. And, of course, if you are listening online right now, let's go. 780-218-9999. I know there's been a ton of great Oilers content already here at Edmonton Sports Talk today. Tell your friends about what we're doing. They can listen live at edmontonsportstalk.com. You can just add it to your home screen on your phone. And, of course, on TuneIn as well. Makes things even easier. Just download the free TuneIn app. And you can listen to us all day live as we weasel our way in there with a bunch of radio stations as well. David and Gibbons is not taking things very well. The first 10 games makes me want to drink Javex.
Oh, no,
2.75 hours of TV viewing for this quality of play is a waste of life. So first of all, David, don't drink the Javex.
Put the Javex down.
You're going to be okay. Put down the bottle of Javex and clean something with it, I guess. I mean, you could definitely do that. I understand your frustration on the Oilers. There's a question we asked on our show earlier today on the Nielson show was, what do you do? Like, if you could do one thing right now to try to get this thing back on track, what would it be? And I had an answer. We had a bunch of answers trickle in. So we'll ask you here on the Oil Stream as well. And many of you who will listen to the Oil Stream podcast a little bit later on, whenever it comes out at your convenience, make sure you subscribe to the Lock Shop and the Nielsen Show and the pre and post game. Well, pre and post comes up on the Oil Stream feed. The Hangout, make sure you subscribe to all of the podcasts as well. Parts of the Oil Stream are brought to you by Boston Pizza. And if you're looking for a good deal and a good place to watch the game, Boston Pizza has you covered. $5 off medium pizzas on game day. $1. So tonight, sitting around, want to go watch the game, go hit up a Boston Pizza. $1 off tankers of Canadian and Coors Light. And $5.50 shots of Fireball, Jaeger, Burt Reynolds, Purple Rain, and Honey Jack. I would probably start taking those early so you don't remember the rest of the game.
Oh, no.
And then you can just wake up tomorrow and tune on into the Nielsen Show. Tommy, remember what you said on Friday? You're done with this team if they lose on Saturday.
I tried to set it up in a positive light. Get the win on Saturday against Nashville. Start a big week. Go into Vancouver. Use what the Canucks did to you the last time you were there. And then subsequently followed it up with another win against your team the home opener night. So they spanked you around a little bit. That should be something that fuels you. And then take that into tonight. Try to get 2 points out of Vancouver. Then you go into San Jose. And if you went into San Jose, you know, in theory, having a 2-game winning streak, this was, again, what I was saying on Friday. You smack around the listless Sharks. And then after that, you would tee up essentially a really big game against Seattle where you were on the cusp of being, quote-unquote, 500. I know the loser point and the OT losses don't really make it a true 500. I fully acknowledge that. But you would be back on at the level, and you could work your way up that way. So that was what I was saying, and that was what was keeping me on the bandwagon, if you will, proverbially, in terms of positivity and saying that this team should be able to pull it back from the depths of the gutter. The way they played Saturday afternoon, I was just like, oh boy, that was the stupidest thing to even have an ounce of faith in this group to wake themselves up against a Nashville team they had smacked around before a couple of weeks prior. Good on Nashville for fueling their fire by using what Edmonton did to them a few weeks ago.
The Oilers own us? How about this?
Nay, we own you at home. We're going to spoil the weekend, Oilers and Oil Country. And they did. Nashville played a better game. Nashville showed up for 60 minutes. Nashville created opportunities. Nashville took the opportunities that Edmonton gave to them on a silver platter and made the Oilers pay. Everything that the Oilers should have done to the Predators in kind did to the Edmonton Oilers. And it was I left with, I think, 8 or 9 minutes left in the third period.
Post-game show was great, by the way.
I was loving
it.
Gager was over at my place. We had Gager come on the show. I fed him a bunch of beers, and him and I had an hour-long debrief after the game. And a lot of it was, well, what about this? I don't know.
After the post-game show?
Yeah, it was it was our own post-game
I was also going to say, I'm
show.
totally fine with you feeding him a few bears during the post-game show.
Oh, I did, too. Yeah,
of
course. I mean, that's why.
Which is really nice to be able to do that now. You know?
It is cool. And it was such a... And the crazy thing is, too, as soon as Gager left, Belsey phoned me.
Okay.
And it was a signal. I'm like, Sean, what the hell, man? And he goes, Tom, first of all, he goes, I don't know. I don't have the solution. The only thing that I keep going to, and Belsey floated this to me off the air, and this was just a conversation him and I were having. He's like, they need a shock to the system, and I'm talking big trade in terms of a guy that, not a McDavid or Draisaitl, but another core piece. And he in the offseason was like, what if you traded a guy, this is just him, think, he goes, what if you traded a guy like Nugent Hopkins? I'm like, well, Sean, you can't. There's a no movement clause there. And he goes, all no movement clause aside, go get someone with more sandpaper. Go get and I think the guy he used was a Boone Jenner type. And I was like, I understand that rationale, but you're talking about a 100-point player that's coming off his best season. I don't think that we're going to see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins get to 100 points again this year. I think he's good for 80 usually. Should be for the next couple of years until his career starts to dwindle down as he gets older, because he's over 30 now. And so
Belsey thinks shock to the system.
Shock to the system, like a trade of one of those guys. And I know a lot of people probably in the nasty chat. I'm not on it right now. I have the text line going, but people would say Nurse, and I agree with you. That would be a shock to the system of those guys. But that contract, and I poo-poo a lot of times where we blame Nurse for poor play due to his contract on the pre and post game show, but this is a time where it's okay, if you need and you truly believe that there should be a shock to the system of this roster to wake them up 10 games in, moving Darnell Nurse would definitely do that. However, his contract hinders that in a big way.
Yeah, you would have to add so many things, and it's not going to work.
And there's been people, we talked about it on the Hangout today, have suggested get rid of Ken Holland, and
that's not necessarily going to. Now, with that being said, if Jay Woodcroft gets blown out and Ken Holland doesn't, it's just a real bad look optically.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
And so the heat's cranked up on Jay because that is the first place that the pressure
It's the
goes.
easy out.
It's the easy out. And Jay knows that. You could see it in his body language post-game in the last 3 or 4 games. Heritage Classic aside.
Yeah.
He's had the 1,000 miles. Connor McDavid, they showed on the bench the other day after the Nashville loss. He had the 1,000 miles there. His game hasn't been good. I know he's been nicked up, and I fully understand. Leon Draisaitl hasn't been.
McDavid and Draisaitl haven't scored a goal, either of them, since they went over Nashville the 3rd game of the year.
Yes.
What the hell?
What the hell is right?
That's never.
What the hell with expletives?
I don't have the numbers. I haven't confirmed it and looked it up, but I would be pretty sure that this team hasn't gone through a stretch since, let's say, 2018, where the team went 7 games without one of those two guys scoring a goal.
Incredible.
It's insane.
And they're getting 25 minutes a night. They're getting multiple power play
Is
opportunities.
Woodcroft holding them back?
No.
There's no way. That's on those guys to produce.
He gives them a minute and a half of power play
And he's
time.
also leaving them together pretty much at even strength
Yes.
since the second game of the year.
It's when Power Play 2 started that man advantage the other night and scored, I was like, that's a good sign, because the McDavid line had just been on the ice and it needed a break. And so Jay threw Power Play 2 out there, and they scored. They clicked. It's a rarity. I think they did once or twice last year, but that was good. I'm like, okay, build off of that. Now you can send out the McDavid line to keep momentum going. But it just went sideways from there. Why can't you harness momentum? The other thing I said to Gager too, and this is a small thing. Like, listen, the Oilers had a couple of shifts, I think in the second period the other night, where they looked like they were on a power play, and it was 5-on-5. They were cycling the puck. They were moving it around. They had good flow. They were getting and funneling pucks toward the net. They didn't convert with a goal, but I think they ended up drawing another penalty after a couple of good shifts of cycling. How often do they cycle the puck? They used to be a puck possession team, cycling it down low, working it down low all the time. And it feels like one of the elements of their game that's missing, among many right now, is down low play, cycle, simple stuff. They pass off great opportunities and lanes at the net for a shot. On the power play, too. They're trying new plays on the power play. They're not working those new plays. They're not working.
How hurt do you think McDavid actually is?
I think he's hurt. I don't think it's to the point where it's like he can't play.
But is it going to get better while playing?
I don't know. I'm not TD Forrest
Yeah.
and Doc Nadeau, but
If it's not going to get better while playing, I mean, at this point, the reason they might be forcing him to play, if they are, we're not saying they are. I'm just saying it's understandable to look at him and go, "Oh, this just doesn't seem right." But now you've dug yourself in such a hole that you kind of have to push him and be like, "Hey, man, we got to get back on track." You got to if they were 7-2-1, you could be like, "Hey, man, take a day or two."
you don't need to play against San Jose.
Yeah.
The other guys will score.
Yeah.
But guess what? The other guys aren't scoring. Again, among many problems, Ryan McLeod
Don't even get me started on
hasn't
McLeod.
done much.
He's done nothing.
He's
done nothing.
I mean,
he's literally been nothing all season.
I understand he missed training camp with an injury, and that does set guys back. But we're 10 games in. We're creeping up on a month of hockey, and it's still not there. Like, he had a couple of shifts last game where it's like, oh, there he is. Okay, good.
What did that shift entail? Him skating fast for a little bit?
Him and Holloway had some good possession time in the offensive zone. And I think there was one shift that they actually were applauded for what they were able to create. It didn't result in the little red light turning on, but it was like, oh, okay, they're having a game. And then in the third period, it was like, they're not out there that much anymore. But you need a goal from those guys. Holloway needs to score.
McDavid and Draisaitl need to score.
That's the messed up thing. That's the
weird thing.
crazy thing about this. And it has everybody scratching their heads collectively. And I had 3 former NHLers, 2 of them former Oilers, and one who, Cass. We have 3 excellent minds that have experiences and views on the game from different perspectives. And all of them are at a loss. And listen, I know that's keeping it close to our group, and there's a lot of good hockey people in our community and people that know the game. But I go, well, when these guys don't know what the hell's
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are at a loss.
Exactly. And I look to people like that. Even in the press box, it was a really quiet press box on Saturday, too. In the second intermission, everyone's shaking their heads going, what is wrong with this team? So, yes, off the bandwagon of positivity, absolutely. Like I said, I would be. Do I think that they have a chance tonight? Yeah, sure. Do I think it's a good chance? No.
Skate this morning at 12 or 12:30.
It's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up. So we should know that won't be an optional, right?
It better not be. It was a couple of things. McDavid has so much time between games right now.
Yeah.
Like, their next one after tonight isn't until San Jose.
2 more days, yeah.
On Thursday. So that should help the healing process. And the fact that they had an optional on Thursday before the game, when they had 3 days between games, including an off day, I'm just like, what? Like, and I
you had an
trust the
off
coach.
day in there, right?
Yeah,
so it's not
they
like
had
you practiced
Monday
hard
off.
for 3
they
days.
Had their
like,
Halloween party. Then they went 2 days of good practice. I even asked Woodcroft on Thursday. I was like, hey, you had 2 days to practice, and how do you feel it went? He kind of brushed it off. He's like, I guess we'll see how it went.
Yeah.
He said some stuff around that, but man, like that's where you go in and you put in the work. Coming off a win, you're at a point where you come off a win, and you can still continue to improve your game. You have a building block from the win. Add some elements, hard work, little things, and I don't know. And then you have a morning skate where 8 skaters and 2 goalies are on the ice. There's more coaches on the ice than there are skaters. Somebody posted at me. Why don't you name all the players on the ice? I said, including McDavid. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Skinner was in the start. It doesn't matter. You know who's going to be out there for optional skates? The young guys, rookies. Darnell Nurse, because he always takes the morning skate. And then a guy like Connor McDavid who missed a practice going to the
he
dentist.
wanted to get out or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and then they play like crap on the Thursday. They play like crap on the Saturday. Here we are.
All right, hit us up. Where are your questions at? Nasty Chat, and of course, at 780-218-9999. Portions of the O Stream brought to you by our great partners over at Boston Pizza. And, go watch the game at Boston Pizza tonight. Get $5 off a medium pizza. You get $1 off tankards of, Coors Light and Canadian. And then, of course, those deals on shots as well. You can have yourself a pretty good time tonight at Boston Pizza. All right, let's get to a couple of your questions. Library Pat is in and says, my question is this. Is T-Biscuit thinking similarly to Rashog? Is Woodcroft in real trouble at this point? 7.5 to 8 out of 10, Rashog said. What say you, Tommy? That's in from Library Pat.
I say yes, he is. Because if you have another stretch of 10 games where you only win 2, he's done. He's done. And should he be done? This was another thing on the Hangout today was, should he be in this position? No. Does a new coach solve everything? Probably
not probably not.
Shouldn't.
The answer is no, it doesn't.
Yeah, and like we're talking about 8 years of McDavid now, or 9 years of McDavid, and the longest tenured coach was Todd McLellan at 3.5. And you're burning out coaches at a 2.5 year clip. Like Jay Woodcroft isn't even at 2.5 years.
Nobody.
He's not even at 2 calendar years.
No, he's not. That's the thing. Like, you can't. If all of a sudden Jay Woodcroft is the problem here after. I tweeted this last night, and by the way, the response was insane. There was like 400 replies to this tweet because people were like, because I said Jay Woodcroft has a .650 winning percentage.
Yes.
And a 10-game stretch here, all of a sudden, he's the one on the hot seat 10 games into his season when he's only coached 130 games for the team.
78, 39, and 13.
Yeah, it's 130, isn't it? I think it's like 130 games.
130 on the button.
So you're going to tell me in 130 games with a winning percentage of .650, that's the guy that takes the fall for a bad start? Are you kidding me?
And that's why he shouldn't be.
Yeah, and he can't even really make lineup adjustments. Because they don't have the bodies that they're allowed to put into the lineup.
They had to emergency recall James Hamblin last night.
Yeah, he's coaching with a hand tied behind his bloody back.
Yeah.
So,
but to Rashog's point and to Library Pat's question, I agree with Shogger, and I sense it that Woodcroft is feeling the heat because that's usually where the blame goes first. Where it should be going right now is on those guys in the room that actually hop over the boards for their shifts. They're not playing. They just I've said they play with a level of arrogance and they just expect to win. They don't back it up.
That's a great way to describe it, man. It's cup or bust, and they're acting and playing like an arrogant group.
Right.
Like they expect things to just happen for them.
You have to earn it, and you're getting your Jack Cookson used this term, and I love it. You're getting every team's fastball every night. Because, yes, we as the media collectively, coast to coast, internationally, looked at the Edmonton Oilers and said, that's a team that should be in the mix for the Stanley Cup. They should add to their roster. There's some little holes there, but that looks like a team that, after the past 2 seasons, has earned the right to be considered a cup contender. 100%. Their alternate captain, who has won a Hart Trophy, has led the league in scoring and
what
points,
did he say?
He said cup or bust. They were saying all the right things in the locker room going into the year. There was a genuine good vibe in there in training camp, in preseason, in the first week of the season. And people have given them the benefit of the doubt. I was being positive on Friday, giving them the benefit of the doubt. And they went and they pissed another game away.
Yeah.
They pissed it away to Nashville. And Nashville was 4-6 going into that game. That's not great. They were 5-6 after they win, obviously. But that is a team you own. You absolutely dominate. You did it a couple weeks prior, and you look like the team that's struggling. The team that has a 2-7-1 record now. You didn't look like you were up to Nashville's level. That's sad. That is so sad. And that's why I said it should be on the players.
It has to be on the players. Like, you think Jay Woodcroft tells Darnell Nurse, hey, go out there and lose that battle to Ryan O'Reilly. And then do it again.
Yeah.
Lose that again. Do you think he tells you, you think you can, if you can't, nobody's going to be able to coach Bouchard defensively. Nobody. The greatest defensive coach of all time could come in and tell Bouchard, here's what you need to do defensively. That's not changing a thing. So, to me, what should happen here is, I don't know if it's Ken Holland or if it's Paul Coffey or if it's Jeff Jackson or if it's Daryl Bloody Cates himself. Somebody has to go into that room and say, this is your group. This is your head coach. This is your group. If you want to go down like a bunch of pathetic losers who couldn't even come remotely close to living up to the hype that you've set for yourself, then go ahead. Then do it. But Jay Woodcroft's not getting sacrificed because you guys don't want to skate hard on a back check. And this guy's not getting traded because he was a part of a team that was really, really good last year. This is it. You've all made this bed. We're paying you so much money. This is what they can say. We're paying you all the money in the world that we can't even dress a full roster.
Yeah.
You're getting paid extremely well to do your job. Suck it up. Stop swearing in post games. Stop going and doing the weather on the weekends and just focus on winning hockey games because you have the talent in the room to do it. Like somebody, and then Connor McDavid should stand up and rip the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to do that at some point.
Right.
Like, it's just, that's what needs to happen here. The last thing that needs to happen is for Ken Holland to go out and bring in another Hockey Canada buddy to be a head coach and think, oh, everything's going to be fine now. That's the easiest way out. The easiest way out. And if you continue to take the easy way out every 2 years, how is anybody ever going to figure out how the hell they're supposed to be committed enough to win a championship? It makes no sense. None. So it's just like people bitch about the goaltending and the defensive play and this and that, when really it's just a matter of everybody stepping up and working hard, which they just don't do. You can't tell me they went out and want to win that hockey game more than Nashville on Saturday. Because if they did, they have the skill level to get it done 1,000 times over. But there's no way to hold the group accountable if you're Jay Woodcroft. You can't scratch anybody.
Nope.
Literally, you can't scratch somebody or else you're going to dress fewer players than a roster should have, which you already had to do anyway. So what the hell is this guy supposed to do? And the goaltenders need to be better.
Sure.
Both goaltenders need to be better. We get it. We're not trying to sugarcoat it.
No.
Now, a lot of the goals they have no chance on ever because the team's horrible defensively. Kevin Woodley had that stat where they just hemorrhage chances off the rush, like high grade A scoring chances off the rush, twice as bad as teams that we would describe as good hockey teams. So there's just so many issues here, but this group needs to grow up. That's what needs to happen. They need to grow up. They've been coddled and babied by us in the media, by the fans in the city who, bow down to them whenever they see them anywhere. Grow up and go out and win some hockey games. Like, it just, that's the bottom line. This is a really good hockey team. This should be a really good hockey team. They've got maybe what should be the best top six in the entire NHL. But they don't go do it.
They play dumb hockey. They've played 10 games of dumb hockey. YouTube, Trev, clip that rant.
Yeah, the dumb hockey rant that you just said.
No, what you just said. I just want to cap it off with
I don't think it's an unfair
hockey.
take, right? It's not an unfair take. That's exactly what the issue is here, is that nobody holds them accountable. And it has to start at the top. if McDavid and Draisaitl on a back check glide at any point, then they sit down and miss a shift. They would never do it. Like it's almost like a organizational taboo. Like you can't hold anybody accountable. But if that doesn't change, you're going to be a team that sneaks into a wild card spot. You're going to be eliminated again, and you're going to go into the offseason. If you do have any cap space, you're going to waste it, and it's going to be the same thing over and over again. That's what I think about that.
Well said, buddy.
Portions of the Oil Stream brought to you by One Putt Virtual Golf. It's a brand new facility, 6 TrackMan bays. You can get your hand on that as well. And how about this? This is neat. One Putt will be hosting a 4-man cash scramble tournament from November 15th to December 15th using all the TrackMan technology. $400 per team, includes 9 hours of golf, 4.5 hours in each round, and your team can play any day and time that fits your schedule. One Putt is guaranteeing a $1,000 prize pool regardless of the number of entrants. So if it's like 2 teams that sign up, they're still putting $1,000 out there. Sign up by November 12th, and you only pay $360 for your team. More info on how to sign up at One Putt. That's the number 1, oneputt.ca/scramble, or follow them at One Putt YEG on Instagram for more details there. So that's kind of cool. Putting together this little 4-man scramble tournament, and you can go in and schedule your appointments whenever. So
I talked to the Gazzola boys. We're going to bring the tour back on Sundays, and we're going to One Putt very, very soon. Gager, damn, he's a beauty. He texted in via the EST text line, 780-218-9999. He just wrote, fixed the D, and sent this picture of him with the puck playing defense. I don't know if you can see it, but
is he playing defense though? Because the puck's on his stick. It looks like I don't know what he's doing there.
If you're watching, I'm kind of showing it. I've got it maximized on my laptop, but he looks like a goalie playing out with that skating stride. Gage, you're a damn beauty, buddy. I love it. Thank you for sending that in.
People pretty fired up. Did I get carried away? I
don't
think I got carried away.
You should have taken a bow and walked away.
I think it was just an honest take. I don't even think I exaggerated on anything. It's like
you're getting love in
like when McDavid and Draisaitl are playing one. These guys are phenomenal. Like they're ridiculous talents. But if like Draisaitl throws a backhand pass up the middle, and the next morning on the show for the last 8 years, I was like, I didn't like that backhand pass by Draisaitl. People are like, oh, you leave Draisaitl alone. Like you
usually
can't.
There shouldn't
be these tiers of class within an organization. It should be an entire group that works together and is treated the same way and coached the same way, which is how a team like Vegas, for example, gets everybody pulling in the same direction, and they go on to win a Stanley Cup championship, right?
And they're crushing it right now.
Yeah, except when they play the Red Hot Ducks.
Yeah, well,
which
weird.
just doesn't make any sense to me.
Boston is a team that lost its captain, who had been part of the organization for 20 years. They lose David Krejci, who I know he went away and came back. The Bruins lost like huge pieces of their team, and then they just cruise on. Last year, they lost in the first round of Florida after having a historically amazing regular season, and they're beasts again. It's in between the ears. It really is.
I just think it has to be set by, like, does that not need to be set by your leaders? Like, is that not a culture thing when we say it's in between the ears? Or I'm not giving anybody a free pass here, and I'm not trying to pile on anybody individually, or else we could have just done 30 minutes already on the goaltenders, really, because those guys do need to be better. But I don't know. Why do these organizations, why can they figure it out and this one can't? You know, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Like,
Here's the reason that the Oilers I don't think they will fire Woodcroft, is that Jeff Jackson comes in with an analytical mind.
Okay.
And they hire Parkati. We joke today that it's all his fault because they've sucked since they brought in an analytics crew.
I think I was saw
joking.
Him in the press box the other
I was
night.
joking. I mean, but I'm listening on Friday driving to the airport to fly to Vancouver. And I tossed on Stoff show. I totally forgot. I'm driving. I was just
Great
like,
show.
man. And I was like, oh, Stoff's on. So
Great
I
show.
flip on Stoff. And he was laying out that, now this was prior to the game on Saturday. I'm not sure how it changed the overall numbers in one game. but Stoff, future Nielsen show guest, friend of the show, friend of the station.
Yes.
So Stoff laid out that I think it was they were number 1 in Fenwick, number 2 in Corsi. Like they'd been doing relatively well in the advanced, like in the not even advanced analytics, but the main analytics that you would look for as teams that are driving possession.
Wasn't there PDO like way
So and they're getting PDO to death. Like I understand all of this.
Yeah.
But if Jeff Jackson has this analytical mindset and Stoff's on the air dishing out, hey, number 2 in Corsi, number 1 in Fenwick, or whatever it was, then if they believe in that possession and the PDO coming back around to the mean, then why would an organization that's trying to be driven by analytics a bit fire the head coach that has them number 1 and number 2 in Corsi with, I think, the Carolina Hurricanes were right around there as well. Mm-hmm. So I to me, that might end up being the saving grace for Jay Woodcroft, that they go, goaltenders are hopefully going to make a save at some point. Their blue line is going to stop completely crapping their pants, especially on the rush defensively.
Oh, my goodness.
And then some of these pucks are going to go in for them. So I feel, and I said this morning on our show, that I would stay the course. As ridiculous as that sounds and as like hampered as they are in some roster decision-making situations, I don't know how they would win a trade right now.
No.
If anything, some team may be possibly willing to take advantage of you
100%.
to help you out. So you're not going to be able to do anything there. You have a coach who got you the last 2 years to the point where you were eliminated by the team that eventually won the Stanley Cup. Stay the course and just tell this group of players to bear down more, to work harder, and to start paying attention to the details on the defensive side of the puck. I don't know. Maybe that's asking too much.
How dare you suggest they do their job properly?
KGill 97 says, sounds like the Oilers are done with Jack Campbell, according to Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts. Okay, but how are you done with Jack Campbell?
You have 3.5 years left of him.
Is it
Until
it was a 5-year
you
deal, wasn't it?
Until you you can't buy him out. Like, how much more dead cap space do you want? The fact, I was thinking this is so ridiculous that I was actually thinking about this. I'm like, well, they're in cap hell again. They have no one to blame but themselves. And I suggested when they bought out James Neal that they should have bought out Mikko Koskinen at the time. Because James Neal had, I think, a year more left than Koskinen. So you would have been done. You would have had that extra little bit more space. And guess what? At this point, you might have had 22 to 23 players on your roster.
Well, I think I saw in the Nasty Chat after the last game, or at least on Twitter, bringing back Mikko Koskinen.
He's not even doing good in Switzerland.
I saw people ripping, like comparing Jack Campbell to Koskinen. I guess it was people defending Koskinen as opposed to what we've seen.
He had
Campbell and Skinner.
Good little pockets.
Okay, Skinner's crap now too? Like, this can't just be, why does every goaltender, are they just, well, we'll have this conversation then. I was going to say, why is every goaltender that's been here for the last little while just basically not been awful, but really hasn't had consistent good stretches?
Well, you just opened the door to the fire Dustin Schwartz
Yes,
crowd.
I guess I did. But honestly, if I was tasked, let's say this, if I was tasked with helping two people succeed at their job, and it didn't work, and then I got two more pupils to succeed at their job, or students, and they had to pass. I was tutoring students in broadcast school, and these kids kept coming out of school and unable to get a job. Then I think at some point, who's ever calling shots above me is probably going to step in and slit my throat because I haven't been able to get the job done so far. The one positive thing is Skinner was nominated for the Calder last year and basically saved their entire season.
He was an all-star.
And Schwartzy does work with him.
Schwartzy does work with Tristan Jarry, Carter Hart.
Yeah, but they're not Oilers, so I don't really care.
Right, I know. But why do other starting goalies in the NHL still go to him and trust him?
Well, they can still go to him even if he's not employed by the Oilers. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Now,
he
granted,
could still.
Pittsburgh and Philly are not good teams.
Yeah. I was going to say, Pittsburgh's one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League,
Yeah.
and Carter Hart really has kind of digressed the last few years.
bad.
So, I guess what I would say is, I don't know if a change makes a difference, but I do know that goaltending's been an issue for 5 years here. So,
Well, when you go and get an obscure Finn who hadn't played an NHL game in almost a decade and go, we're smarter than everyone, we're going to bring this guy in. He's 6'7" and lets in the leakiest squib goals. That's not a good thing. Mike Smith was actually really good for them. Mike Smith will not come back. Don't worry. I know people. It's to the point now. People are saying, "Bring back Calvin Pickard or get him up."
I've saw people saying for that to come up. You know, I will say, Mikko Koskinen's 906 would actually look pretty good here.
That's
now.
sad.
I know, but it's the truth.
Very sad. I can't believe we're 38 minutes into this show already.
It's cruising along.
Man.
I think my rant was probably 4 or 5 minutes
phenomenal.
on its own. Anyway, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, or you can hit us up in the nasty chat as well. Maybe I'm kind of delusional on the goaltenders because, like, I haven't hated their play really. Like, they've let in bad goals. Don't get me wrong, they let in bad goals.
The first goal last game
The
was
wraparound?
terrible. That was
The
absolutely
wrapper.
awful.
So that's a fascinating discussion. Did you bring that up with Gager?
Yes.
What did Gager say about that?
He said that it looked like Campbell was worried about getting beat short side.
And that's why he overcommitted. Like, he was
Yeah.
past his post,
Yeah.
and he was square to the shooter, as opposed to, for example, Koskin. What would have happened with Koskin in there is he would have been up on his post, like hugging it,
Yeah.
and they would have just shot it far side and
And it
probably
would
scored
go
on
in.
top.
Yeah.
But to me, it was weird because Campbell was like square to his shooter in a weird spot where he probably shouldn't have been square to the shooter,
No.
and he was out past his post, which meant it was like 2 pushes to get back across.
And he barely made a push to get across.
Yeah, that was a bad goal. There was the rebound. The shot did come through traffic.
Yeah.
And I think he sort of just stayed compact because he thought he had it in him somewhere.
Yeah.
And then Darnell Nurse loses the battle to the rebound, and it goes in.
Darnell Nurse, I don't know what he was doing on that one. It was like, I don't know if he was even paying attention that Ryan O'Reilly was there. Like, it wasn't even a battle. Like, it was just get to the puck first. That one was bad. Then the other ones are like 10 bell chances. And then I know there's another stat that the Oilers have, Skinner and Campbell have like the worst save percentage in high danger opportunities. Well, the high danger opportunities this defense and 5-man unit in front of the goalies provides to the opposition are like tap-ins, 2-on-1s where the goalie has to like jump to try to even get to the other side. I think of that Joe Pavelski goal the other night.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with, like, it's a high danger scoring chance, and I should dive into this. I used to be very anti-analytics like 7, 8, 9 years ago. I think it was mostly because of the community.
Yeah.
But I've come around. I've
at the
become acquaintances with some of these guys, and I got time for them. So I asked this question, genuinely curious, not trying to be a prick, but from a high danger scoring chance, like, are they all weighted the same, or like some high danger scoring chances like a 7 out of 10 danger, an 8 out of 10 danger? Because I just feel like
I don't know
a
how
lot
they're
of the
weighted.
Oilers' high danger scoring chances got to be 10 bell alarms.
They are.
You know, like
how many of those goals that the Oilers have allowed, because there's been a lot of them, where you look at it and you're like, well, I mean, Dominic Hasek might not have even saved that. Pat Roy in his heyday, Marty Brodeur, like, they're like no doubters where you have to be so bad to miss. They give up so many of those. Bang, bang, in. Goalie, no chance. Bang, bang, in. Or shot 4 guys in front of each one of the goalies and they can't find it.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 of those guys happen to be their own players.
Like,
Dumb hockey.
that's the thing. Like, I hear
playing
that
dumb
people are like,
hockey.
trade for a goalie. What, so this other guy can come in and be ready for the shot and then the pass goes this way, and the guy's wide open over here because nobody knows who they're supposed to cover, and he's or just failing. They know where they should be, but they're failing in getting there, and it's a wide open tap-in. That's why I say stay the course. Maybe have that conversation with the team saying nothing's changing. This is your group. You've got 2 best players in the world over here. You've got 3 other guys in your top 6 that would be top 6 players on every single team in the National Hockey League. Darnell, you make a ton of money, so you need to be better.
Be better.
Bouchard, at some point, we're going to need to kind of give you the sniffing salt. Like, that guy should be on sniffing salts every single time he's on the bench.
Please stop playing scared.
Ryan McLeod hit somebody. Like, you can go on a lot of different, but they're going to start finishing better. The one thing that really concerns me is their defensive zone play. Like, that's the one area where I go, man, like, in the end, what sinks them, I would think probably comes back around to their inability to defend as a group. Mm-hmm. That has to be it.
Well,
like, so yeah. David's in and says, Dusty, wouldn't you rather spend $1 million on a goalie to get hung out to dry than $5 million?
Yes. Duh. But I like that, David. Well said.
Have any questions, hit us up. 780-218-9999. I know there's a bunch more in there that we're going to get to. Part of the oil stream is brought to you by the Ghost Pepper Chicken Sandwich. Game changer on the menu at all Popeyes Louisiana kitchen locations. Plus, order on DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, and Uber Eats. I think somebody said after my rant there, they're like, you got to go get a Ghost Pepper Chicken Sandwich to calm down a little bit. But that's spicy. Like, the last thing I want is a spicy meatball. Do we have any line combinations from the or was it an optional skate today?
Oh, boy.
Has anybody seen anything? We've been
looking.
sitting here doing the show. Who would be on the road with them that would maybe nobody
James Hamblin.
maybe nobody wants to maybe nobody wants to tweet out line combinations anymore.
Well, here's
Here we
the
are.
thing. You
Here we
got
are.
some?
Tony.
Okay.
Tony
good job,
Brar.
Tony.
This is what he's got. Wow. McDavid and Draisaitl stay together. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman. Nuge, Gagne, Kane. McLeod, Fogle, Ryan. Hamblin with Holloway and Lavoie in the old Baco line, I guess.
Yeah.
That line I would project to play over under 4.5 minutes tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so let's have this conversation. McDavid and Draisaitl stay together again, even though it has, and it might work tonight because usually that works. Like it doesn't make sense why that's not clicking. But your thoughts on him just doubling down a 97 and 29? Do you think they've gone to him and said, we'll get through this together? Like, just leave us alone? And
That might be. And you said stay the course. Maybe they're staying the course. And then part of me, too, I don't think McDavid is fully healthy. Like, I reiterate that one more time. And then Draisaitl being there to kind of support him is fine. And then plus, okay, you want to be honest, the 2 best forwards on the team right now are on that second line with Nugent Hopkins, who I actually think has been okay, all things considered, compared to others. That second line might be more effective than the first line right now. Although Hyman's motor's been going all
I was just
season.
going to say, well, what are we, like, that's a major concern then.
Yes.
And nothing away from it, because I agree with you. Like, Nuge, Kane, and Gagne, it looks like there's some jump there.
Yes.
But we should never be saying that they're more effective than McDavid and Draisaitl together.
Correct.
You know, like, that doesn't make any sense.
It should not happen that way. Now, in small pockets of seasons, okay.
Yeah,
you get that pleasant surprise, a nice bump from a second or third line. But through a 10-game stretch, no, that shouldn't be the case.
So part of you thinks they're leaving Draisaitl there with McDavid just to take some of the weight off of him because of the injury he's playing with?
I think so. That's my theory.
I mean, if McDavid needs to be carried on line because he's so hurt, maybe he shouldn't be playing.
I understand that.
You know,
again, they don't have the bodies, and they're in such a rut. And if you're going to Connor, you're like, can you play? And he did miss time already.
What say you? Your thoughts on them keeping McDavid and Draisaitl together? 780-218-9999, 9999 or in the nasty chat as well. Max is says, Can you guys keep going until 2? This feels therapeutic. This is my 5th hour of broadcasting today already.
Yeah.
Tommy's got a pre and post game tonight. It's gonna be a late post game.
Yeah.
Oh
boy.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, we'd have another show that we could pass things off to.
In time.
We're just not there yet. We're just not there just yet. But tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk, and let's continue to drive the numbers up, and then we will get there.
I can't believe we're at this point, 10 games in. It's sad.
This is by far, like, I don't think, if somebody would have chimed in prior to the season when we're like, what are you expecting from a start? Stanley Cup contenders. And we were guilty of it. But if somebody would have messaged in and said, I think they're going to go 2-7-1 and lose to Vancouver 2 times and lose to Nashville, who they never lose to, and McDavid's going to get slightly banged up and we're not going to know where he's at, and they're actually going to allow more goals than they did last year, and probably by November 6th, people are going to be expecting Jay Woodcroft to be fired, I would have said, well, hilarious text, young man, but give the phone back to your daddy because we can't have kids texting in ridiculous takes. Yet, that's what's happened.
It's so ridiculous. Today's episode should just be called Dumb Hockey.
Ooh, wow. Hey, Rick, today's episode, Dumb Hockey. He'll like that one.
I like that.
He'll like that one. Lieutenant Eric's handling all the uploading of the podcasts
Yeah.
after. So how much do we read into what? Go ahead. What would you have?
A surveyor Brett. Bob Stauffer on the afternoon drive, future EST guest and host.
Wouldn't that be something?
I know he likes that time slot, so
He does like that
he
time
likes
slot.
that time slot.
And he does love us.
And we love him.
So wouldn't that be something? That would be quite something else. How much do we read into? Now you're going to say you said all these same things on Saturday pregame, probably, but the Vancouver Canucks blew you out in the first game of the year, then came into your home opener and took it from you.
Yep.
Have basically lived the life that you want to be living.
Yeah.
Through the first 10 games, like. I think some of us expected the Oilers to start the year 8-2, which is what the Vancouver Canucks have done.
Yes.
So, like, the Canucks have basically stolen your vibe. The Canucks stole your girlfriend, who you thought you might marry one day.
Yeah.
And they're walking around flaunting her out in front of all your buddies and enemies. And you have a chance tonight to go back in and steal her back. If you don't, how bad of look is that moving forward?
Oh, boy.
And you look at me as somebody who like really likes the boyfriend-girlfriend reference I just made,
Yes.
but you also don't know how to answer it. But that's kind of what it's like. It's like you had this 10 if you want to rank people on looks and numbers. You had this 10 with you, and JT Miller just came in and said, actually, she's coming home with me.
And she does.
And she does. And then for the next 4 weeks, they're on Instagram posting photos of like, oh, look how good everything's going together. And they're hanging out with Hughes and Elias Pettersson and everything's great. And now you're rolling into their barn tonight with a chance to steal her back. If there's no jump in the game, to me, technically, you just don't want her anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what this. Actually, I think I've made a really good metaphor.
That's
here.
a great metaphor.
Have I not made a great metaphor right now?
And you know what? Here's the icing on top. They don't really want to be with her anyway.
You don't think so?
Well, they love winning, but that would just be like, casually with her.
That's it. Just
Look at us.
Whatever. Like,
Yeah. They don't love her the same way you do.
if they lay a dud tonight, first of all, post-game show will do 5,000 views.
I think the last one almost did.
Yeah. But if they lose again to the Canucks tonight,
Oh, my
and
God.
it's a road game,
Yep.
which means people are just at home pissed off anyway. If they lose, if they come out and put up a fight, I said today on my show, my prediction is there's 2 actual fist fights tonight. Like, go out and get pissed off and bully these guys back. So I'd like to see somebody fight somebody tonight in an old school goon hockey game. But if they just go through the motions tonight and lose 5-2 again, I don't want to just have this conversation again tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm prepared for this conversation again tomorrow, unfortunately.
so you expect them to lose tonight?
Yeah. I want to be wrong. I've given them the benefit of the doubt for 10 straight frickin' games.
You have.
Like, come on, you're not that bad. You're not that bad. Remember, you're good. And they go, oh, yeah? We'll show you, Tom. Watch us not try and play stupid hockey. We play dumb hockey.
Not only are the Canucks taking our girlfriend, they're also now dating our sister. You know, like
For fun.
The Canucks are
They don't
just
even like her.
bullying them
Yeah.
relentlessly. And it'll be interesting. Like, I don't see Rick Tocchet allowing his team to be fat and happy.
Rick Tocchet
Right, like-
called his team out for being soft after they won.
Wasn't that the loss to Philly?
Or did they lose that?
I think it was
Okay,
the loss
sorry.
to Philly in the third game of the year after they beat the Oilers a couple times.
That's right.
He didn't mess around. Maybe that's what needs to happen. If they lose tonight, somebody needs to call out somebody else in that group to get, like, Jay Woodcroft needs to come out and actually rip on somebody.
That's not his style. But maybe that would be a shock. Now, he had a chance to do it on Saturday. And this is as close as he got to calling out his stars. And he said, we have not played up to our level collectively. And that's as close as he ever got to calling out McDavid and Draisaitl. Because they were brought up. I think it was Schauger who asked him. It was a very quiet media group that day. And just because there's like a lot of people weren't there. Right?
Yeah.
And Schauger, who's there every day, just said, you haven't seen a goal from Draisaitl in 7, McDavid in 5. Do they need to be better? And Jay went with those guys, and we have not lived up to the level we expected yet. That's as close as he gets to pulling a Rick Tocchet.
Maybe he'll sense the sense of urgency around his own job
Possibly.
if they do believe that, which
Possibly.
I just don't see. But if you want to bet this game, I did set a little something up on the morning show today, and you can get it over at CoolBet. Go to coolbet.com. I know a lot of people in the Nasty Chat today were like, I'm going to bet on the Canucks tonight, so if they win, I make money.
They're
And if they
talking about
lose,
that.
the Oilers win, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
The old personal team hedge.
Yeah.
Which is not. It's. I mean, if you don't mind losing a few bucks, it's not a bad idea, because if they lose, you're happy because you made money. We got this loaded up. It's plus 355 if you go to coolbet.com and click on the exclusives tab. Connor McDavid to score a goal in the classic he's due theory.
Sure.
Quinn Hughes to have a point in the classic he's awesome theory.
And gets a lot against Edmonton.
And the over 6.5 goals in, the Oilers are going to get theirs and surrender a whole bunch as well. So over 6.5 goals, Quinn Hughes point, Connor McDavid goal, plus 355. The only real stress on this thing, I think, would end up being if Connor McDavid scores a goal tonight or not. So plus 355 if you want to grab that. Oh, Mark Lanigan's in with a good one. To a man. The Oilers need to play better. I love the to a man references.
To a man.
To a man. Woody basically sitting Holloway and Lavoie while keeping 29 and 97 together shows poor talent identification.
Holloway and Lavoie. Well, Lavoie had that bad play that led to a goal.
Yeah, what happened to Holloway? How many? Didn't he only play like? He was
6
basically
minutes, I
right
think.
out of the rotation. Just for, I've got this Hilroy
Great quality.
notepad. So just let's just say if they split up Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nuge, and just played those three guys down the middle, because I'm starting to doubt McLeod's ability as a third line center. So if you went McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge down the middle, and McLeod, just say fourth line.
Okay.
Now you've got Lavoie, you got Holloway lurking around here, some guys who have some offensive upside, not in the National Hockey League yet, but offensive instinct is offensive instinct.
True.
I would think, right?
Yes.
So for Holloway, his speed is his speed. For Lavoie, his shot is apparently
And his big body.
His shot, big body.
Big body guy.
So let's put this together. Who would you play with McDavid? Hyman to grind a bit for him?
Yeah.
Would you leave Kane there? You can
I'd put Kane and Hyman.
What about Kane down with Nuge on the third line? Got Kane going last time. He was on the third line for a few minutes.
Would you put Holloway? No. Why would you reward Holloway? Hasn't done anything.
You go Kane there. You put who else we got? What are we missing here? Gagne. Just keep Nuge, Gagne, and Kane together?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you put Fogle with McDavid and Hyman.
Okay.
No. Fogle with Draisaitl and Lavoie. And Holloway with McDavid and Hyman. And then you run McLeod, Ryan, and Hamblin. So your top 9 would be McDavid with Holloway and Hyman. Draisaitl with Fogle and Lavoie. Big bodies.
Big bodies.
And then Nuge, Gagne, and Kane together. And then you see, maybe Lavoie clicks. Maybe Holloway clicks.
And for them to get going offensively, you need to let them play. Now, you can't be down 2-0 10 minutes into the game. Get that flow, rhythm. Make them feel like they're actually in the game.
Ooh, it's going to be a good one.
6:30, Oil Stream pregame show.
Hour and a half pregame?
Hour and a half.
With Cassie, do you have any other guests coming on?
I'm working on that right now.
Okay, so it'll be 6:30 pregame. If you are at home, you can stream it on your desktop at edmontonsportstalk.com. You can watch live. You can listen live. If you're out driving around, we do think the easiest way is to just listen to the TuneIn app.
Yeah.
So hop on there. Just search Edmonton Sports Talk one time. Favorite it. And, if you're driving around tonight, just toss on TuneIn. Connects right in the dashboard, and you're off and running.
Yeah. I showed my mom TuneIn yesterday.
What does she think?
This is
what does she
way
say?
too easy, home. That's it.
Way too easy.
Yeah, but she had figured out listening via our audio
Which
stream.
is also easy, too. I mean, it's not hard. It's not rocket science. But TuneIn does make it a little bit easier.
It does.
So that is nice, and that's another option that we have provided you for Edmonton Sports Talk for now, for sure. Look at this. Zedmo says, got to try something. Put Nurse and Ekholm together. Just completely blow up the back end, too.
Wild.
Tommy will be back 6:30 tonight. Oil Stream pre- and post-game show. Be ready for that. It's going to be an interesting one against the Vancouver Canucks. Get us out of here, buddy.
Like, share, subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, to everyone who has, thank you so much. We're at 5.1K subscribers.
We're cruising
on YouTube.
up. 6,000 is going to come quick.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in. And 6:30 p.m. Oil Stream pregame show. Maybe they surprise everybody and win and play a good 60 minutes, or we just have all-out chaos on the postgame show like we have the last few games. See you later.
Talk to you later.